Hello, my little mathematicians. Today I'm going to help you order rational numbers. Okay, so if we go ahead and take a look at the first problem, it has 1.2, 0.4, negative 3, negative 3.4, and negative 1. The first thing is you always want to have them all be in the same thing, either all be fractions or all be decimals. Decimals is usually the easiest one because if you want them all to be fractions, they all have to get common denominators. So right now they're all decimals, so that's off to a good start. And then you always want to look at, does it say from least to greatest or greatest to least? This wants it from least to greatest. I like to underline the word least once and the word greatest twice as kind of a visual of small to big. Okay, since I'm going small to big, I know that the negative ones are going to be the smallest, right? So I'm just going to quickly use a number line to help me reference this. So I have 0 and then negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, and negative 4. And then I'll put the in-betweens. So this is negative 1/2, negative 1.5, negative 2.5, and negative 3.5. Okay, and then going this way, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll have again a half, 1.5, 2.5, and 3.5 as those in-betweens. Okay, so the first one is negative 3. That would be right here, okay, negative 3. And then negative 3.4, that's kind of right here, like negative 3.5 is like negative 3.5, right? So that's going to be right about there, negative 3.4. So if I'm going from least to greatest, that's going to be the smallest, and then this one. One thing that's helpful if you're comparing two numbers is, I'll get to that when I get to these, is always make sure you have the same number of numbers after the decimal. Because then it'll help you compare. Like this is 3.0 versus this is 3.4. And remember, that's like owing $3.40, and this is like owing just $3. Okay, so I'd rather owe $3 than owe $3.40. So negative 3.4 is the smallest, then negative 3. Okay, then negative 1 would be right here. And then 0.4 is right before that 1/2. So that would be next. And then 1.2 is between 1 and 1.5. So that would be the 1.2. Okay, and then always double check. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers that you placed. All right. And again, sometimes using a number line helps you sort them. Okay, for this one, again, it's really helpful to, first of all, make sure they all have the same number of numbers after the decimal, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, so negative 1.81, 0.80. I'm adding a 0 here because this has two numbers after the decimal, so I'm going to have an add a 0, so that has two numbers after the decimal. 0.18, negative 0.81, and 0.81. Okay, so least to greatest, I want the negatives first. Well, how much would you rather owe? Would you rather owe $1.81 or just 81? You'd rather owe 81 cents, right? So 81 cents is actually bigger than $1.81. Okay, so $1.81 is actually less. And if you think about it, negative 1, negative 2. So negative 81 is about here. And 1.81 is almost to the negative 2 mark. So it's further to the left, which means it's lesser in value. Okay, and then those are gone. Now, let's see, these are all positive. So how much is more? 18 cents, 80 cents, or 81 cents? 18 cents, then 80 cents, and then finally 81 cents. Okay, and again, now you can kind of see that you might have been fooled and put this 0.8 here and gone 0.8, 0.18, 0.81. You would have switched these two if you didn't add that 0 here, because then it's easier to see, oh, that's like 80 cents versus 81 cents. And so this is actually less than that. So again, sometimes it's important to have the same number of numbers after the decimal, so that way you can compare them more easily. Okay, For this one, we have a mixture of fractions and decimals. So it's up to you which one you want to do, but all of them are pretty much like almost decimals, and then just this one would need to be changed, and it's an easy one to change to a decimal. So I'd say let's do them all. This has two numbers after, so let's do all of them with two numbers after the decimal. So -2 is the same as -2.00. This is -2 point. If you do 1 divided by 4, you get 0.25. So -2.25, -1.75, and then a positive 2.00, and finally a -0.5, because 1/2 is 0.5, but we wanted to have two numbers after the decimal, so we'll say that. Okay. The only one that's positive is this 2. So I know that that's going to be at the very end of the list, right? That's going to be the greatest. When determining the smallest, think of it in terms of money. Like you'd rather owe less money. That's better for you, right? So what's the least amount of money here? 50 cents. So that's actually the next highest. Then what? What's the least amount that you would want to owe? You'd want to owe that much. And then what? You'd rather owe $2 than owe $2.25, right? Okay, so double check. This is furthest to the left, then we're getting closer and closer and closer to 0 till eventually we become positive. Okay, so again, I first rewrite them so that they all have the same number of numbers after the decimal and they're all in the same form. Then I put them in order from least to greatest, double check my directions. Yeah, they wanted least to greatest, small to big. Use a number line to help you, especially with those negatives, because you would think that 50 cents is actually smaller than 2.25, but since you're talking about negatives, I'd rather owe 50 cents than owe $2.25. And then your final step is to rewrite it in how it was presented to you. So -2.25 was given to you as -2 1/4. -2.0 was given to you as -2. -1.75 started that way. -5.0 started as -1/2, and this 2.00 started as 2. Okay, so again, first of all, you rewrote them so they all had the same number of numbers after the decimal. Then you placed them in order from least to greatest, or greatest to least if that's what the directions asked. And then you rewrote each number how it was presented to you originally. This was originally -2 1/4. This was originally -2. This was originally -1.75, -1/2, and 2. And there you go. Okay, so if you haven't done one by yourself yet, I recommend maybe you try this one. Okay, if you paused it and now you're back with us, let's see. I can already tell that this is 4.3, this is 4.3, and this is -4.3. I'm going to go 2 places out just to help. Otherwise, it's going to get confusing. Okay, so for that one, it's just 4.3 or 4.30. Okay, 4 3/10 is 4.3 or 4.30. Okay, 2/5. If you do 2 divided by 5, or if you figured out you need to multiply by 2, that would be 4/10. So that's 4.4. Let's add a 0. Okay, -4.30. And then this one is -4. 1/3 is 0.33333333. So let's just have it go out to 2 places. And now you can see that even though like these two look the same, this is actually like 30 cents and this is like 33 cents. Okay, from small to big. Negatives would come first. They're the smallest. Which one's the actual smallest? Well, I'd rather owe 30 than owe 33. So owing 33 cents, $4.33 is worse for me than owing $4.30. Okay, I placed those two. Now these ones, I would say they're basically exactly the same, right? Okay, so we can put them one on top of each other to remind me that there's 2 of them. And then you have this 4.40. So this was initially given to me as -4 1/3. This was initially given to me as -4.3. 4.30, there was 2 of them. It was 4.3 and 4 and 3/10. And we're going to put those in the same line because one's not greater than the other. They're actually equal. They're exactly the same. And then 4.40 was initially 4 and 2/5. Okay, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. All right. Hopefully you are just a little bit more better at ordering rational numbers. But again, remember, first of all, change them all to the same form, either all fractions or all decimals. And if they're all fractions, they all have to have the same denominator, and then you compare the numerators. If they're decimals, you can just take the top divided by the bottom. That'll give you the decimal form. Always try to go out the same number of decimal places. That way they're easier to compare. All right. And then final step is to make sure that you rewrite it how it was originally given to you, because that will be the correct answer that they're looking for. All right. Hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable with each of those.